Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about one of the most powerful and painful forces that shapes our lives, regret. It's that feeling that creeps in when we look back on moments we didn't seize, opportunities we let slip away, or paths we didn't take. It's the weight we carry from decisions made or not made that haunt us long after the moment has passed. But here's the truth. Regret can either be the anchor that holds us back or the fuel that propels us forward. Now, I know that you've probably felt the sting of regret at some point in your life, whether it's not following your passion, not pursuing that dream job, or letting a relationship slip away because of fear or hesitation. Regret is a universal experience. And what makes it so painful is not the actions we took, but the actions we didn't take, the moments when we hesitated, played it safe, or allowed fear to dictate our choices. But it's time to change the narrative. Regret doesn't have to be something that drags you down. It can be the wake-up call that drives you to live fully, to take action, and to never look back again. Today, I want to talk about how we can reframe regret, how we can learn from it, use it, and ensure that it never controls us. Because let me tell you something, living a life with regret is one of the most suffocating experiences you can have. And while we can't change the past, we can certainly shape our future. So let's dive in and talk about how you can take the pain of regret and turn it into the power of action. We've all heard the stories of people who have lived with regret, whether it's the elderly person who looks back on their life and wishes they had taken more risks, the young adult who regrets not following their true passion, or the business owner who played it too safe and never pursued the bigger vision. But what these people often have in common is that they are asking themselves one simple question: what if? What if I had followed my dreams? What if I had taken that chance? What if I had trusted myself more? And that what if becomes an anchor that ties them to the past, preventing them from moving forward with the fullness of their potential. Now, let me ask you something. How many what ifs are you carrying right now? How many opportunities have you let slip through your fingers? How many dreams have you abandoned because of fear, self-doubt, or the belief that it's too late? The pain of regret comes from that constant nagging thought that you could have done something differently. And here's the truth, it's not too late. The only time that regret has power over you is when you allow it to control your future. Your future is a blank canvas, and every single day is an opportunity to change the story you tell yourself about your past. Let me share a story with you that might resonate with some of you. There was a woman named Sarah who spent her entire life trying to meet the expectations of others. From a young age, she was told what she should study, what career she should pursue, and even who she should marry. She followed all of it, checked all the boxes, and did everything that was expected of her. But as Sarah grew older, she began to feel the emptiness of living someone else's life. She regretted not pursuing her true passions, not following her own dreams, and not trusting her own instincts. But the hardest part wasn't just the regret itself, it was the feeling that it was too late to make a change. One day, Sarah came across a quote that changed her life. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. In that moment, something shifted inside her. She realized that regret was nothing more than a heavy burden she had been carrying around, and she had the power to let it go. She made the decision to stop living in the what-ifs and to start taking action in the now. Sarah began small. She enrolled in courses that reignited her passions, took up painting in her free time, and started a side business in the area she had always dreamed about. Was it easy? Absolutely not. The fear of failure, the weight of uncertainty, and the self-doubt crept in every single day. But Sarah knew something powerful. Action, no matter how small, is the antidote to regret. Every step she took brought her closer to the life she had always envisioned, and with each new action, the pain of regret faded. Eventually, Sarah left the corporate job she had been in for years and started her own successful business, one that aligned with her true passions. The life she thought she had missed out on was now a reality. What Sarah did was simple, yet profound. She stopped letting the pain of her past decisions dictate her future. She took the lessons from her regrets and used them as fuel to create a new path. And let me tell you something, you can do the same. The pain of regret is not permanent unless you allow it to be. Regret can either become your greatest teacher or your greatest prison. Now, let's get real for a moment. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but what if I've made mistakes too big to overcome? What if I've missed my chance? What if it's too late for me? And I understand that fear. I've been there, and we all have. But the truth is this, it's never too late to start again. Every single day is a fresh start. Every day is a new opportunity to choose differently, to move in a new direction, to begin the journey you were always meant to take. Don't let regret hold you back. Let it be the fire that pushes you to take bold action. Think about the most successful people in history. Did they have moments of regret? Absolutely. They had failures, they made mistakes, and they stumbled. But what separated them from the masses was this: they didn't let regret keep them in the past. They used it to propel them forward. They used the lessons learned from their past decisions to inform their future choices. And that is the power of regret. It's not the past that holds you back. It's the fear of the future that does. Let me tell you something even more powerful. When you face your regret head on and choose to act, you free yourself from the chains of fear and doubt. You begin to realize that the pain of regret is not a reflection of your failure, but a reflection of your potential. It's a reminder that you're still alive, still capable, and still in control of your destiny. You can choose to live in regret, or you can choose to let it go and create a future that's truly yours. So, I want you to take a moment right now and think about the areas of your life where you're holding on to regret. What is it that you're still beating yourself up over? What decisions, what paths, what chances did you miss? I want you to understand this. The pain of regret will only continue as long as you allow it. It's not the action you didn't take, it's the inaction that hurts. And today, you have the power to change that. You have the power to take one step, no matter how small, toward the life you want. The longer you wait, the more painful that regret becomes. But the moment you take action, the moment you decide to move forward, regret loses its grip on you. The truth is, regret doesn't need to be a burden. It doesn't need to be something that holds you back. If you're breathing, if you're alive, you still have time. And if you have time, you have the power to change. Don't let the pain of past decisions keep you from creating the future you deserve. Take the lessons from your regrets, use them as stepping stones, and begin moving forward today. Remember, regret is not a life sentence. It's a call to action. And you have everything you need to answer that call. Let go of the weight of the past. Step into your power and create the future you've always dreamed of. Because the greatest regret of all would be to live a life of what-ifs instead of, I did it. Regret as a catalyst for action. Regret is not something to be feared or avoided. It can be used as fuel to drive you forward. By facing the pain of regret head on and using it as a lesson, you can transform it into motivation to take bold steps toward your future. The power of starting over, no matter the mistakes or missed opportunities in your past, it's never too late to start again. Every new day is a chance to change your path and make the choices that align with your true desires and goals. Inaction fuels regret. The pain of regret often comes from not taking action, from the what-ifs that haunt us. The key to overcoming regret is to take even the smallest step forward, as action dissolves regret and creates a future of purpose and fulfillment. Regret is a powerful emotion. It can feel suffocating, like a weight on your chest that never quite lifts. It whispers in your ear, reminding you of the chances you didn't take, the words you didn't speak, and the dreams you let slip away. But here's something most people don't realize. Regret doesn't have to be a burden. It doesn't have to be something that keeps you stuck in the past. Instead, it can be the very catalyst that propels you forward into the life you were meant to live. Regret, in its essence, is a reflection of missed opportunities. It's that deep sense of longing for a different choice, a different outcome, a different path. But what if we told you that regret isn't the end of the story? What if instead of being something that drags you down, it could be the spark that ignites a powerful transformation? Think about it for a second. The only reason regret exists is because you have the capacity for something more. You wouldn't regret something if you didn't care. You wouldn't feel that pain if you didn't believe there was a better way, a more authentic version of yourself waiting to come through. So if you're sitting with that pain, that feeling of, I wish I had done something differently, recognize it for what it really is, a call to action. That regret is a whisper from your soul, telling you that you still have time to make a change. It's not a permanent mark on your life. It's a sign that there's a new direction you can take. And no matter how much time has passed, you still have the power to shift course. Regret is an invitation to do better, to be better, to take the next step that will align you with your true potential. Let's take a closer look at how regret can become the fuel for action. First, understand this. Regret often stems from inaction, from missed opportunities. We regret the chances we didn't take, the risks we didn't dare to follow, the moments when we held back because of fear or uncertainty. But think about how powerful it would be if you could learn to embrace that fear instead of letting it control you. What if, instead of avoiding the uncomfortable feelings that come with regret, you leaned into them? Instead of running from those what-if scenarios, you allowed them to fuel you with energy to make a different choice next time. When you feel regret, It means you've lived through a situation where you were presented with a choice, one that you didn't take, one that you didn't trust yourself enough to act on. But now, with that regret in your heart, you've learned what you don't want. And that's a powerful lesson. Regret isn't just about looking back. It's about understanding that the future is still in your hands. That knowledge, that awareness can fuel you to make decisions from a place of clarity and confidence moving forward. Imagine if every time you regretted an action or lack of one, you use it as a lesson. What if you took the emotion of regret and instead of allowing it to paralyze you, you allowed it to push you into action? Regret is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of untapped potential, a signal that you're capable of so much more. It tells you that your best days are still ahead, and it pushes you to act on the things you once let pass you by. Each moment of regret is a reminder that you are capable of making different decisions, of taking more action, of becoming the person you always wanted to be. Think about a time in your life when you acted on regret. It's probably something that has been weighing on your mind for years, a decision you made that still feels unresolved, a crossroads you didn't take that changed your trajectory. Now, think about how your life might have looked if you had made the different choice. The key question here is not what happened or why you didn't act, it's what did you learn from it? Because that is the most important question you can ask yourself. Learning from regret means understanding that it's never too late to make a different choice. The beauty of regret is that it's not permanent. It's an emotion tied to the past, but it doesn't have to control your future. The lesson regret gives you is that you still have time to make better decisions, to take risks, to go after what you truly want. The mistake people make is allowing regret to become a permanent emotional fixture, something that defines them and shapes their future actions. But in truth, regret is a temporary emotion. If you choose to learn from it, it can become the motivation that pushes you toward a better version of yourself. Let's break it down a little more. When we experience regret, we often think it's too late to do anything about it. We believe that we've missed our chance, that time has passed, and we've let the moment slip by. But the reality is, time is never the issue. The issue is how you choose to use the present moment. The past can never be undone, but the present moment? That's where you hold all the power. And regret teaches you this lesson more than anything else. You can't change what's behind you, but you can absolutely influence what's in front of you. Let's take a real-world example. Imagine you've spent years in a career that you don't love. You've followed the traditional path, worked your way up the corporate ladder, and found success in ways that are externally validated. But deep down, there's a sense of regret. You think, what if I had followed my passion instead? What if I had started that business I always dreamed of? What if I had taken that trip around the world? Now you're sitting with the pain of what could have been, and it feels heavy. But here's the thing. You're not stuck. You still have the power to change. You still have the ability to make a decision that can alter the course of your future. Regret is not something that has to weigh you down for the rest of your life. It's not a life sentence. It's a wake-up call. It's the moment when you realize that you still have the ability to create the life you truly desire. And once you realize that, regret loses its power over you. It no longer holds you captive to the past. Instead, it becomes the driving force behind you taking action and pursuing your dreams. So, how do we make regret work for us? How do we take that emotional energy and turn it into a force for good? The first step is awareness. When you feel regret, don't ignore it. Don't brush it under the rug and hope it goes away. Instead, sit with it. Let yourself feel it. Understand why it hurts and what lesson it's teaching you. Once you fully grasp the lesson, you can begin to move forward from it. Awareness of the lesson is the first step toward action. The second step is to make a decision. When you feel regret, you have a choice. You can let it consume you, or you can use it to make a better decision. The power lies in your ability to make a conscious choice to act. No matter how small the action, every decision you make from this point forward can be a decision that propels you forward into the future you desire. Regret becomes a motivator for making choices that align with your true desires. The third step is commitment. Once you've made the decision to act, commit to it. Regret doesn't just go away after one decision or one action. It's about making a commitment to yourself, to your goals, to your growth. Every day, you need to remind yourself that the past doesn't define you. The only thing that defines you is your commitment to living in alignment with your values and your desires. Finally, take massive action. No dream, no goal, no change can happen without consistent action. The only way to move beyond regret is to do something about it. Don't sit on the sidelines of your life. Get in the game. Take the steps necessary to move you toward your future. Regret is only painful when it remains unaddressed. Once you begin to act, to move forward, to take consistent steps in the direction of your dreams, you'll find that regret has lost its grip on you. Regret, in the end, is not something to fear. It's something to embrace. It's a powerful emotional tool that teaches you valuable lessons about your desires, your path, and your potential. When you take action on those lessons, regret transforms from a painful weight into the fuel that drives you toward the life you were meant to live. It's not the end, it's just the beginning. Starting over is one of the most powerful opportunities life can offer you, yet it's also one of the most daunting. Many people view starting over as a failure, a sign that something went wrong, or a marker of defeat. They see it as a painful reset, a disruption to the plans and dreams they've spent years building. But what if we shifted the narrative? What if starting over wasn't about failure, but about reinvention, growth, and reclaiming control over your future? Imagine the freedom that comes with embracing the opportunity to begin anew. Imagine the strength, resilience, and clarity that comes when you realize that starting over is not a setback. It's a chance to step into the best version of yourself. So many of us live with this underlying belief that once we choose a path, once we've invested time, energy, and resources into something, we have to stick with it. We become trapped in relationships that no longer serve us, careers that drain our energy, or lifestyles that limit our growth. But what if, instead of clinging to those choices out of fear or pride, we decided to walk away when we realized that a new path awaits us? What if we learned to see starting over as a strength, not a weakness? The truth is, life is filled with infinite chances to start over, whether that means changing careers, ending a relationship that no longer aligns with your values, or even just altering your mindset. We don't need to wait for a grand moment to declare that we're starting over. The decision to begin again can happen anytime. It can happen now. Every moment is a fresh start, a new opportunity, a blank page on which to write a different story. And while that might sound scary, it's actually one of the most empowering concepts you can embrace. Think about the times in your life when you've experienced moments of transformation. Maybe it was a career change or a move to a new city. Maybe it was a shift in your mindset. The moment you decided you weren't going to let fear or self-doubt control you anymore. These were your chances to start over. And whether or not you recognize it at the time, those moments were pivotal. They were the points in your life when you chose to leave behind something that no longer served you and embrace the unknown with the hope that something better was waiting for you. If you're feeling stuck right now, like you've painted yourself into a corner and there's no way out, understand this: you can always start over. It's never too late. And even if the path ahead looks uncertain, it's in those moments of uncertainty that you'll discover who you really are and what you're capable of achieving. Starting over doesn't mean you've wasted time or energy. It means you've learned something valuable along the way. Something you can now carry forward into the next chapter of your life. Every experience, every choice, every setback is a lesson that equips you with the tools and wisdom to begin anew. Think about the story of someone like Oprah Winfrey. At one point, she was fired from her first job as a television reporter because she was unfit for television. Imagine what would have happened if she had let that setback define her. She could have given up, believing that she wasn't good enough. Instead, she used that rejection as fuel to power her forward. She understood that failure wasn't final, and that starting over wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a sign of resilience. She went on to create one of the most influential media empires in history. Her success came from her ability to embrace starting over, to keep moving, even when the odds were against her. Now, I know that starting over can be uncomfortable. The unknown is often terrifying. There's something about the safety of the familiar, even if that familiarity is holding us back. The thought of leaving something behind, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a place, is filled with fear and doubt. We worry about what people will think, what we'll lose, and what we're leaving behind. But here's the thing. You cannot build something new if you're still holding on to the old. In order to grow, you need to release what no longer serves you and make space for the new possibilities that are waiting for you. Think of it this way: when you start over, you're giving yourself the permission to evolve. You're allowing yourself to step into a new chapter of your life. There's a certain beauty in that. Imagine the freedom that comes when you no longer feel bound by the expectations of others, by the choices you've made in the past, or by the fear of failure. Every time you start over, you get to rewrite your story, and no one can tell your story better than you. I want you to understand that starting over doesn't require a perfect plan. It doesn't need to happen overnight, and it doesn't have to follow any set timeline. Starting over simply means you're choosing to take the next step, even if you don't have all the answers right now. The most important part is the decision to move forward. And as long as you're moving forward, you're making progress. Progress doesn't happen in a straight line. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and sometimes it feels like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But that's okay. The point is to keep moving. There's power in the act of starting over. In fact, it can be one of the most liberating feelings in the world. Think about a time in your life when you took a leap of faith, when you made a bold decision, when you said yes to something new. That feeling of stepping into the unknown, of trusting yourself to figure it out as you go, is what makes life rich and full of possibility. And the beautiful thing is, once you take that first step, the second step is a little easier. And the third and the fourth, they all get easier the more you allow yourself to embrace the idea that starting over is not a limitation, but an opportunity. It's easy to feel like you've missed your chance, especially when you look around and see others who seem to have it all together. Social media feeds, the success stories we read, and the highlight reels of others' lives can make us feel like we're the only ones who haven't figured it out. But I promise you, everyone has moments where they've had to start over. No one's journey is linear. Success doesn't happen in a straight line, and neither does fulfillment. Every person who has achieved something significant has faced moments where they needed to reinvent themselves, to leave behind something that no longer worked, and to take the first step into something unknown. I want you to think about the stories of people like Steve Jobs, who was ousted from the company he founded, only to come back years later and lead Apple to become one of the most valuable companies in the world. Or J.K. Rowling, who faced rejection after rejection before finally publishing the Harry Potter series that would become a global phenomenon. These are examples of people who chose to start over time and time again because they knew that the path they were on was not the path that would lead them to their purpose. They made the decision to keep going, to take that next step, to create the opportunity for themselves no matter what. Starting over also allows you to redefine success on your terms. It's a chance to look at the life you've been living and ask yourself if it truly aligns with who you are and what you want. Too often, we let the opinions of others, the expectations of society, or the routines we've built over time dictate our sense of purpose. But when you choose to start over, you're saying, this is my life, and I get to decide how it's lived. You're no longer bound by past decisions or others' definitions of success. You are free to create a new reality for yourself, one that is aligned with your deepest desires and values. Let's be clear, starting over doesn't mean erasing the past. Your past has shaped you. It's given you wisdom, strength, and resilience. But when you start over, you're not starting from zero. You're starting with the lessons you've learned, the skills you've developed, and the experiences that have made you who you are. And those things, your unique perspective, your growth, your ability to adapt, are what give you the power to create something even greater. Every single day is an opportunity to start over. Every time you wake up, you're presented with a fresh canvas on which you can paint a new picture of your life. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the right time. The best time to start over is now. Take that first step, trust yourself, and know that you have everything you need to succeed. The path may not always be clear and the road may get tough, but you have the resilience, the courage, and the vision to make it through. Starting over is the ultimate act of self-belief, and it's your ticket to living a life that is fully aligned with who you are. Inaction, in its purest form, is the breeding ground for regret. It may seem harmless at first, even comfortable, like a gentle lullaby that tells you there's no rush, no need to act right now. But the truth is, inaction is a slow poison that creeps into your soul, leaving behind an emptiness that no amount of time or distractions can fill. The more you avoid making decisions, taking action, or stepping into the unknown, the greater the weight of regret becomes. It isn't the mistakes we make that haunt us the most, but the chances we didn't take, the dreams we didn't pursue, and the risks we never dared to follow. Regret is not just about the big glaring failures, it's also about the missed opportunities, the moments where we held back, the things we could have done but chose not to do. Every time we allow fear to keep us in place, every time we allow self-doubt to dictate our decisions, we are contributing to the building of that regret. The problem is, we often don't see it until it's too late, until years have passed, and the opportunities we could have seized are gone forever. That's when the regret becomes unbearable. But here's the thing, regret isn't just about what we didn't do, it's about what we still can do if we choose to act now. We've all been there, haven't we? You sit with a dream in your heart, a vision of something better, and yet for some reason you hesitate. You wait for the right moment, the perfect conditions, the assurance that everything will fall into place before you take that first step. But the truth is, there is no right moment. The moment to act is now, and waiting only makes the regret grow bigger. You may tell yourself that you're being cautious or that you're being prudent by waiting, but in reality, what you're doing is allowing inaction to hold you captive. The longer you wait, the more difficult it becomes to break free, and the more regret starts to take root. Regret is not just an emotional experience, it's a reminder, a painful reminder that time once passed cannot be reclaimed. Think of all the things you could have done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. What dreams did you have that you pushed aside? What relationships did you neglect? What career paths did you not pursue because you thought the timing wasn't right? Inaction over time becomes the anchor that drags you deeper into the sea of regret. It's a force that silently chips away at your potential, your happiness, and your ability to live life to the fullest. And yet many people don't realize the damage inaction is doing until it's too late. One of the most insidious aspects of inaction is that it doesn't feel like a mistake in the moment. At first, it feels like nothing, like a harmless delay. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, or it's not that important right now. But every single day you wait is a day you will never get back. Tomorrow never comes. And with each passing day, the gap between where you are and where you could be grows larger. It's not the big steps we fail to take that cause the most damage, but the small, incremental steps we choose not to take. Inaction isn't always about avoiding the huge decisions. It's about avoiding the small ones that compound over time. There's something deeply powerful about action. When you take action, no matter how small, you gain momentum. You start moving toward your goals, and even if the road is unclear, even if you stumble along the way, you are still moving forward. Action creates clarity. It reveals what works and what doesn't. It shows you what's possible and what's not, and it gives you the feedback you need to adjust your course. But when you choose inaction, you're essentially closing the door on those opportunities for feedback, for growth, and for discovery. Think about a time when you took a risk, even a small one. Maybe it was asking for a raise at work, starting a new hobby, or having a difficult conversation with someone you care about. No matter the outcome, taking that action gave you insight. You learned something. Whether you succeeded or failed, you learned what worked, what didn't, and how to approach things differently next time. But inaction doesn't provide that opportunity. It leaves you in a perpetual state of uncertainty, wondering what might have been. The longer you wait, the more your potential goes untapped, and the more regret starts to fill that empty space. Here's the truth that many of us ignore. The cost of inaction is far greater than the cost of failure. It's easy to fear making the wrong choice, but the real danger is not making any choice at all. What's more painful, failing after giving something your best shot, or living with the haunting thought of what if? Regret stems from what we didn't do, from the things we avoided because we were afraid to fail, and the opportunities we passed up because we were too comfortable in our inaction. Inaction is often rooted in fear. We fear failure, we fear judgment, we fear the unknown, but fear doesn't have to control us. It's a natural human emotion, but it's also a signal that we are stepping outside of our comfort zones. The more we let fear dictate our actions, the more we allow inaction to rule our lives. We can choose to take small steps despite fear, to push through the discomfort, to act in spite of the uncertainty. Fear will always be there, but it doesn't have to stop you. When you take action in the face of fear, you start to break free from its grip. You begin to see that fear is not an obstacle, but a companion on your journey toward growth and self-discovery. Think about someone who regrets not pursuing their passion for years. Maybe they wanted to start a business, write a book, or travel the world, but they kept putting it off. They thought they would do it when the time was right, or when they had more money, or when they had more experience. But years go by, and now they're left wondering what could have been. Inaction builds on itself. It becomes a cycle where fear feeds on fear. Uncertainty breeds more uncertainty, and the longer you stay still, the harder it is to take that first step. Inaction is also a thief of time. Time is the most valuable resource we have, and it doesn't wait for us to make up our minds. Every day you choose to remain in the same place, to keep delaying, is a day that is lost forever. Every tomorrow that you promise yourself becomes a yesterday that you wish you had taken action. The power of taking action lies in its ability to make the most of the time you have. And inaction strips you of that power, leaving you with nothing but the painful regret of lost opportunities. Imagine you're looking back on your life in your later years. What will you regret more? The the things you tried and failed at, or the things you never tried at all. The pain of not trying, of not stepping into the unknown, is a deeper regret than any failure could ever be. Failure is temporary, and it brings lessons with it. But the regret of never even attempting is a pain that lingers, a wound that never fully heals. It stays with you day after day as a reminder that you could have been more, done more, lived more. The only true failure is inaction. The great paradox is that action doesn't always guarantee success, but it guarantees growth. It guarantees that you will learn, adapt, and move closer to your goals. Inaction, on the other hand, guarantees nothing. It guarantees that you'll remain exactly where you are, stuck in the same place, facing the same regrets. So the next time you feel that tug of hesitation, that feeling of fear holding you back, remember that inaction will only fuel your regret. Taking even the smallest step forward, despite the fear or uncertainty, is the only way to break free from the cycle of regret and into the life you were meant to live.